Now, most coaches I see are working 40 plus hours a week, running around like headless chickens, and their business isn't even moving forward. And having coached hundreds of coaches now, I've really seen a pattern, and there are 4 main mistakes that I'm going to unpack in this video, along with the exact system I use in my life and my business that's allowed me to grow my coaching business to multiple 6 figures with just one VA, whilst getting into the best shape of my life, living a life completely on my terms where I can take afternoons and days off to be with my beautiful family. And I say that not to brag, but just to give gravitas. The system I'm about to teach you absolutely works. So if you are a overwhelmed, busy coach and you want to feel the excitement that comes from living in flow and the momentum that comes from the results of operating a system that I'm about to share, then stay around. I'm going to literally unpack it all. And hey, if you're new to me on my channel, my name is Joel. I am a business coach to heart-led coaches that want to grow their business to 6 figures and beyond by mastering expression, enrollment, and engineering systems for success. Now, the first main mistake I see coaches making is falling for the productivity trap. Now, I see so many productivity gurus teaching these elaborate systems like the second brain and all these organizational systems. And I'll be honest with you, I fell prey to that stuff too. But I soon realized in this pursuit to have everything organized and everything under control, I forgot the purpose of this all. I had forgotten to live. It was like an addiction. The more control I got, the more I wanted the control. And I realized I actually wasn't effective. I actually wasn't moving my business forward. I was just really great at organizing stuff. Now, this stuff feels great. It feels productive. It feels like you're being effective. But what I call it really is feeling fancy dress, because that's exactly what it is. It's making you feel good, but is it actually moving your business forward? And when I had this realization, along with the realization that I would never have it under control, it was just my mind's addiction to wanting to organize everything, I adopted this mantra, which has changed everything in my life, along with my productivity, and that's embrace the mayhem. Now, breathe that shit in. Because yes, systems work. I'm about to share my exact system that I use, but at the same time, we need to let go of our addiction to control. And for me, by doing that, it's allowed me to really eliminate what's not important and really focus on what is important. Because there is a quote by Warren Buffett that really transformed everything for me. And it goes like this: the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people will say no to almost everything. And this quote, embrace the mayhem, really allows you to get monomaniacally focused on the few things that matter. Now, the second biggest mistake I see coaches making is working on projects, not problems. Now, this is down to a universal conditioning of being efficient without any regard to being effective. And this leads to coaches doing lots of busy work, building their website, curating the perfect social media feed, organizing their files, organizing their learning, all the stuff, again, that feels good, but as I said before, is be in fancy dress. Now, I want you to move away from thinking about projects to thinking about problems, because business, life is problems. And the way to move your business forward and be effective is to solve the biggest problem in your business, the biggest bottleneck. And something I learned from a guy called Alex Schafran was there are 5 core functions in your business: lead gen, lead nurture, lead conversion, delivery, retention, and resell. And every 12 weeks, I essentially isolate the biggest problem from one of those 5, and I focus on solving that problem. Once I've solved it, I move on to the next. And this means that I'm really working on the important, not the easy, not the busy work. Tim Ferriss said, being busy is most often used as a guise for avoiding the few critically important but uncomfortable actions. Growth comes from discomfort, and the easy, busy tasks are keeping you comfortable, small, and safe. The third biggest mistake I see coaches making that's keeping them from being busy but not effective and productive is having the wrong goals. So lots of coaches come to me and say, Joel, I want to make my first 10 or 20K or 30K a month. And the first thing I'll ask them is, why? Why do you want to get there? And if they can't give me an answer to that, I know they're going to struggle in those moments where we are met with obstacles, and life, business is all obstacles. So they're going to struggle, full stop. What's really helped for me is to go deeper, deeper, deeper with the goals. Keep on asking why. And I'm driven by this mission of creating 100 coaches or helping 100 coaches get to their first 10K a month, because I truly believe that coaching can transform the world, but most coaches struggle with their business. So this is where I can have the greatest impact, the greatest ripple effect. And that is how I want to impact and change the world. That fuels me every single day. And now that I'm connected to this thing that's so much bigger than me, so much bigger than money, it fuels the why, it fuels the motivation. So when my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. in the morning, yes, I have some external defense mechanisms in place, but I have this internal drive that is just palpable, and it is so much bigger than me. But the second part of this, having the wrong goals, is that when someone shares, I want to get to my first 10 or 20K a month, there's no limitations. So it doesn't improve the quality of your thinking. So one of my goals is to get to 50K monthly recurring revenue whilst working 4 hours a day with one VA. Now that is a good goal, because by having that goal, it improves the quality of my thinking. And by improving the quality of my thinking, I see the world differently. I'm forced to make higher leverage decisions. I'm forced to say no to the low leverage, to the things that aren't really going to move my business forward, and yes to those really high leverage activities. That quote, Warren Buffett, the very successful people say no to almost everything because they set better goals, higher quality goals, which improves their thinking, which improves their prioritization and what they say no to. Now, I promise you, business and being effective is more about subtraction than addition, and having better quality goals will improve the quality of your thinking and lead to more subtraction than addition. Now, the fourth biggest mistake I see coaches making is being dysregulated. Yes, this doesn't appear at all linked to productivity, but it absolutely is. There's a quote I heard the other day that said, you don't have a business problem, you have a personal problem, which is showing up in your business. So when you're dysregulated, caught in that fight or flight response, you go into your mind, and your mind tries to control everything. And as we shared before, when you try and control everything, you do the easy stuff, the low leverage tasks, the emails, the organization, but you never actually move your business forward. One of the hardest things about focusing on the low leverage tasks is that it needs deep work, deep focus. It needs you to let go of control of the bigger things. That's why I say embrace mayhem. But to be able to be grounded and present and centered in that mayhem, you need to be regulated. You need to regulate your nervous system. You need to be grounded, present, not in your head. So for me, whenever I feel dysregulated, I'll do some shaking, I'll do some dancing, I might do some breath work, I might go and connect with nature. It really depends on how dysregulated I am. But now I've built the habit of becoming aware of my body, how I am, my feelings, my emotions, my thoughts, and then 2, choosing how I want to be, choosing my response, and then 3, trusting that if I respond from present, from groundedness, my response will meet the needs of the present moment. So that model, awareness, choice, trust, act, ingrain that in your mind, it'll transform your life and business. So there are 3 big ideas that support the systems that I'm about to share with you. The first of the big ideas is the idea of be, do, have. Now, we have been conditioned by society and by the schooling system that the having comes from the doing. And it's created a society of lots of busy people that are great task doers, but not thinkers. But how the having really comes about is in your being. The order is not do, have, be, but be, do, have. It all starts with your being, your skills, your thoughts, your dominant emotion, your vibrational frequency. When you have that in place and then you do and take action from that place, your doing is infinitely more effective, and then the having will come from that. Now think about it. What you have right now is a result of who you are, your being, and what you do, but it is in the order of be, do, have. So the place to start is always with your being. Now, let me ask you 2 questions that really help you step into the person you need to be to have what you want. The first is, how would you be if you were already there? How would you be if you were already at your goal? Now, when I answer that question, how would I be if I was already at my goal? It would be more calm, more relaxed, more chill, more joyful, more playful. And sure enough, that's my goal every day, is to step into that version of myself where I'm more joyful, where I'm full of love, I'm full of play, I'm calm and relaxed. Now, sure enough, when I embody that version of me, the opportunities come. I attract who I am. Now, the second question I want you to ask yourself is, who do I need to be to get there? What skills do I need to have? What habits do I need to employ? How do I need to think? And the best way to get there is to ask who, not how, which brings me on to my second big idea. Ask who, not how. Now, again, we are conditioned by society to focus on the how. We are also conditioned by our mind to focus on the how, because the mind, again, loves control, and focusing on the how makes you feel in control. But if you know how to do something, you are not stretching your goals. Your goals are like a to-do list. You shouldn't know how to get to your goal. If you do, your goal's not big enough. So if we don't know how to get to our goal, what do we ask? Well, of course, we ask who. Who's been there? Who's created the results that I want? Who is living the life that I want? That's the first question to ask, not how. There's a great quote by Dan Sullivan who says, the bigger the goal, the better the who. So my invitation is, set a goal that you have absolutely no idea how to get there. Ask yourself, who's already been there? Go invest in that person, their course, their book. And by doing so, you'll increase your commitment to that goal. You'll raise your standards, and your chance of getting there are infinitely higher than if you try and figure out the how, because you don't know how to get there. And what got you here won't get you there. So we need to let go of the how and focus on the who. Now, my third big idea before we get into the systems is living life like a sprinter. See, again, we are conditioned by society to live life like a marathon runner, where we're just always on. We're neither here nor there. Now, one of my guiding principles to live by is wherever you are, be all there. But we live in a society where people are half in, half out. Living life like a sprinter means wherever you are all in. So how this looks like for me is that I divide my year into 4 12-week years, where for 12 weeks, I have one main focus, one big goal, and I monomaniacally focus on that one goal, and then I break it down there, which will be part of my system. Then I take 2 weeks off. I rest, recover. That's kind of on my macro waves. But then I have micro waves, which are kind of within the week and within the day, where again, I have this cycle of intense focus, monomaniacally focus on the one thing at hand, stop, totally detach, relax, recover, then go again. The quality of your relaxation determines the quality of your focus. So rather than being half on when you're meant to be relaxing, be totally off. It's one of my superpowers. When I'm off, I am so relaxed. My wife says to me all the time, I cannot believe how quickly you can fall asleep. It's because of my ability to go from all in on something else to completely all in on relaxation. So that's my third biggest idea, living life like a sprinter. So let's get into the exact system that I use to run my life and business. Now, I want you to visualize a Russian doll where you take the top one off and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, because this is in essence how the system works. And it all starts with the end in mind. For me, that's values. What are your 5 core values? They act as my anchor, my filter to make decisions from. Next in is my vision. What is your big vision? If we don't have a vision, we don't have that pull motivation. A big mistake coaches make is they ask, what do I want to achieve in the next month, 2 month, year? But if there's no connection to the bigger picture, there's no resilience. The why fuels the resilience. Next in is that we create a 1-year goal. Now, the way I work is a goal for energy, work, and love. And the way I get to this one goal for the 1 year is I brainstorm all my goals for energy, work, or love. And I ask myself, if I could only achieve one of these, which would make all the others irrelevant? That becomes my 1-year goal. And I do the same for the next 12 weeks. So I have a 12-week year goal. So for one 12-week year goal, one 1-year goal for the area of energy, work, and love. That's aligned with the vision, which is aligned with the values. And it's that alignment that pulls me forward. Now, this is where I get a little bit more granular and I split my life into projects and non-negotiables. And ultimately, the idea of the project is to find out what should become non-negotiables, i.e. the projects are about testing. And in that project, we focus on biggest problem, lead gen, nurture, conversion, delivery, and retention. We focus on the biggest problem, we solve it, we move on to the next, one thing at a time. And the goal of that is to find out what are the non-negotiables for either us or us to delegate. So we have projects, non-negotiables. On the non-negotiables, we have non-negotiables for health, energy, work, and love, relationships. But the energy and love come before work, because what this does, it creates limitations. Without limitations, you end up saying yes to everything. We want to acknowledge our own limitations. You do have a limited capacity. And when we acknowledge that and actually prioritize energy and love, we compress our time to work. And with that time, which is now compressed, we now need to make harder decisions. Great. Because in those harder decisions, we focus on the high leverage tasks, not the low leverage tasks that keep us busy and small and safe. So hopefully you can see how this works now is by expanding our time for energy and love, we decrease our time for work, which improves our effectiveness, improves our output, which is really what we're after here. High output, low input, which is all about leverage. Now, the last two parts of this system is creating forcing function. I spoke about that pull motivation that comes from the alignment from our 12-week year goals to our 1-year goals to our grander vision. That gives you pull motivation, but we also want to create a push motivation. And this is where we design our environment to outsource our willpower. I'll give you an example. So I've been waking up at 5 a.m. for the last 6 or 7 years, despite never really wanting to wake up that early. I'm actually a naturally lazy person. So I really have to work with my environment to bring out the person that I want to be. So what I do is I set an alarm using an app called Alarming. I have to solve 3 maths equations to switch it off, and I leave my phone in the kitchen. So by the time I've done that, I'm already wide awake. I might as well crack on with the day. This is a great example of creating a forcing function and creating that push motivation. Now, the final part of the system is using what I call a weekly anchor. Now, on Sunday, I essentially reflect on the last week and refocus for the next week, planning out exactly my non-negotiables for energy, love, and work. And it means that moment to moment, I know exactly what to focus on, meaning wherever I am all there. There's no overthinking or second guessing myself. I know exactly where I'm meant to be physically, mentally, emotionally. And that focus and attention is what really moves my business and life forward. So that is my whole entire system that's really allowed me to live in flow and create a life that I once dreamed of. Now, there are going to be parts of this that really resonate and that don't. Take the parts that resonate and drop everything else. And if you have any questions, drop me a message on Instagram. And if you found this video useful in any way, go ahead and give it a like, comment with where you're watching this and your biggest insight, because the best way to learn is to teach. And go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any future trainings. And if you want to watch a training on exactly how I grew my very first coaching offer from 0 to over 6 figures, my first 12 months as a coach, go ahead, click there, and away you go. Sending you lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.